So today we're going to be making Mexican for dinner tonight. So I'm going to be going ahead and making some sourdough discard tortillas. They're super easy to make, super quick to make, unless of course you have a large family like I do where you're going to spend a good while making these. But I did go ahead and triple this recipe because I'm going to attempt to freeze some of the dough for our camping trip coming up. So for right now, I have a cup and a half of my sourdough discard, and I'm going to go ahead and add a cup of water. And then after my cup of water, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of olive oil. I said that's 3/4 of a cup. And you can break this recipe down into thirds. I think that's what I did, was I tripled this recipe so that I can make some tortillas while we were camping. So I went ahead and added our olive oil to that, and our water and our discard, and now we're going to add 5 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to try to use up my bleached all-purpose flour. I don't like using the bleached, but it's just what I have right now. We need to use it all. So we'll go ahead and get that going. There's 1. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So normally you're going to want to spoon your flour and then level it out in your measuring cup. However, I'm just kind of measuring this out, and I'll add more if I need more later on. But for right now, we're just going to start with this. Normally I like to use the recipes that work with grams. This one just used cups, so we're just going to kind of go with it and see if I need to add a little bit more or add a little bit more water to it as we go. But at this point, we're just going to go ahead and mix it all up. I like to use my hands because I can feel where we're at and see how we're doing with it. So we're just going to kind of mix it till you get a nice and shaggy dough where everything is well incorporated. So we're starting to get there. You can kind of see what we're working with. I'm going to go ahead and scrape my sides, get all the flour I can and incorporate it. Seems to be a good mix, so I think I got a good amount of that flour in here. When I'm baking, a lot of times I just go until I feel like it's the right consistency for my dough. Because even if you measure everything out by grams into the T, the reality is the surrounding area is going to kind of affect it. How humid is it? How warm is it? How cold is it? All of those things are going to play an integral role in how your dough feels and how it acts. So that's why most of the time I just work with it until I get to the consistency I like. So we're getting this mixed in pretty good. We're turning it into more of a kneading situation now. So we're just going to keep kneading it to get all of that flour incorporated, all of that starter incorporated as well. But I've even gotten to the point with my sourdough discard and sourdough starter where I only feed it to consistency. I don't weigh anything anymore, which I know a lot of people are going to say that's a no-no, but I just prefer to just go ahead and measure it to the consistency. I add a little bit of flour, add a little bit of water. If it's not the right consistency, I'll add more of one or the other. And it seems to be doing phenomenal. But we're looking pretty good here. We're looking like a good dough. Looking pretty incorporated. I'm going to get all this off the bottom so it's not sticking bad. But you can see there is a little bit stuck to my hand, but not much in comparison to some of my other videos. And you don't want a lot sticky. If it's super sticky, add a little bit more flour. If it is super dry, you can add a little bit more water, or in this case I'd probably add a little bit more olive oil, just because that will help with the consistency that you want for your tortillas instead of the water. So now what we're going to do is we're going to allow this to sit and rest for 30 minutes, and then all you have to do is divide it out and roll it out into your tortillas and fry them in a pan. Alright, so I've allowed our dough to sit and rest, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. Let me flour my surface here first for me to be able to roll it all out. I'm just going to do it here on my table. And we'll pull this guy out. Now I am going to only take some of it because I want to try to save some of this. So probably going to take about half, maybe a little less than half. I'm going to put the rest back in this bowl and set it to the side. I'll put it over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this dough ball and make it into our tortillas. So let me go ahead, flour it the rest of the way. And then I'm going to start taking these and making balls out of it for me to be able to roll into tortillas. Alright. So there's my little ball. So I'm going to go ahead and make the rest of these into little balls like this and let them set while I'm rolling the rest. Alright, so now that we have all of our little dough balls formed, we're going to go ahead and move them out of the way and start rolling them out. Now you want them to be thin, but not like paper thin. And as far as trying to keep them in a circular shape, I don't really have any tips for that because I don't really know. So I'm just going to kind of stretch them out a little bit, and then I'm going to use my rolling pin and roll them out the rest of the way, and then we'll go ahead and cook them. So I'm going to show you this one, and then I'll show you over there on the stove as we make the tortillas themselves. So I got my little rolling pin. I'm going to roll this out this way. Kind of stretching it each way, trying to get it stretched out. And you really can make them as thick or thin as you want them to be. It's just going to depend on the texture you're looking for and how long you're wanting to cook them on each side, because it really varies dependent upon how thick your tortillas are. So, like I said, they're not going to be a perfect shape, but that's okay. Once you've got them rolled out, you can see how thin I have those rolled out. I'm going to set them to the side over here, and then we're going to go ahead and start making them. And there you have it, homemade sourdough discard tortilla.